Hey friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing December releases. I have talked about this in a couple of different videos, but I swear December used to be a wasteland of releases, and that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Because I am pre-filming this on November 21st, and I have 12 books to talk about. I don't think I could have made a list of 5 historically. Somehow I have 12, and like 7 or 8 of them are coming out on December 5th. So we're going to start right away with December 5th because it is a whole ass release day. I don't know what it is that Berkeley decided to choose December 5th for all of their romances. First up is The Gentleman's Gambit by Evie Dunmore, which is book 4 in the League of Extraordinary Women series. This is a historical romance series. We're following this group of suffragettes. The first book was following a woman who was part of the first class of women at Oxford. I haven't read the synopsis for this yet because I already knew I was going to read this because I really enjoy the series, but I thought I would read the synopsis here with you. It says that deeply introverted Catriona Campbell wants the right to vote and a professorship at Oxford. She dreams of romance, but since all her attempts at love have ended badly, she now keeps her desires firmly locked inside her head, until she climbs out of a Scottish loch and finds herself face to face with a stranger, who turns out to be her father's attractive new colleague. Oh, I'm here for it. Elias has wheedled his way into Professor Campbell's circle under false pretenses. He did not come to classify ancient artifacts. He is determined to take them back to his homeland in the Middle East. I don't know what it is, but I have been reading so many historicals surrounding artifacts. Winning Catriona's favor could be the key to his success. Forced into close proximity in Oxford's hallowed halls, Elias and Catriona begin to play a risky game that asks Catriona one more time to put her heart and wildest dreams at stake. This sounds fantastic. This might be my favorite premise so far in the series, and I'm excited for it. The next one is Technically Yours by Denise Williams, which is the next standalone contemporary romance from this author. I'm going to grab my laptop so that I can read the synopsis for this one as well. I know that this is like a tech STEM romance, but that's all I really know about it. Pearl has learned the hard way to be careful in work and love. She has the chance to make lasting change at Our Code, a nonprofit aimed at inspiring high schoolers to code. But a recent scandal puts its reputation at risk. Further complicating things, she didn't expect the one man she never stopped thinking about to join as the newest member of her board of directors. Cord fell for Pearl when they met in an elevator 8 years ago. When they reconnected after years with no contact, he is tempted to consider breaking his ban on serious relationships. But going public with a romance between them might derail Pearl's career and the progress she's made at Our Code. While Pearl and Code are both hesitant to trust their feelings and take a risk, it soon becomes impossible to keep ignoring the electricity between them. Cord is a skilled programmer, but a workplace romance might spell disaster for both of them, and love isn't easily debugged. If all goes according to plan, there will be a vlog of me reading a whole bunch of these books on December 5th. So if you want to know which ones of these to pick up, keep your eyes peeled for that. It should be coming on Tuesday, and this will be on the list. After that, we have The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson, which is actually the second book from this author this year, which I think is pretty wild for a trade romance author. I feel like they almost always do a single release. This is actually a paranormal romance, and I talk about this I think it is in that December 5th vlog that you're going to be seeing. My mind glitches every single time I see this cover because the fact that it is this like quintessential trade romance cover, but it's a paranormal shifter romance, I cannot comprehend. Mackenzie has had some very bad dates lately. Model train experts, mansplainers, guys weirdly obsessed with her tail. She hasn't had a successful date in months. Only a year out of her residency, her grandmother's obsession with Mackenzie finding the perfect mate to settle down with threatens to drive her barking mad. Out of options, it feels like a small thing to tell her grandmother that she's already met someone. That is, until she blurts out the name of the first man she sees and the last man she would ever date. Noah Taylor, the big bad wolf of Denver General. Noah, an interventional cardiologist and all-around grump, has spent his entire life hiding what he is, with outdated stigmas surrounding unmated alphas that have people wondering if they still howl at the moon. Noah has been careful to keep his designation under wraps. It's worked for years until an anonymous tip has everything coming to light. He is left with two options: come clean to the board and risk his career, or find himself a mate. The chatty, over-friendly ER doctor asking him to be her fake boyfriend on the same day he's called to meet the board has to be kismet, right? Mackenzie will keep her grandmother off her back, and Noah will get a chance to prove he can continue to work without a real mate, a mutually beneficial business transaction. But when the fake mate act turns into a very real friends with benefits arrangement, lines start to blur and they quickly realize love is a whole different kind of animal. I'm really excited for this, and I've been excited for this. However, every time I read that synopsis, the animal puns do hurt a little bit. I did quite like The Nanny by this author, so hopefully I like this one as well. After that, we have Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura, which is another one of my most anticipated books of the year. And this is an adventure romance. Again, artifacts. Apparently that's an end of 2023 thing. It's been Corey's life goal to lead an expedition deep into the Mexican jungle in search of the long-lost remains of her ancestor, an ancient warrior of the Aztec Empire. When she is invited to join an all-expenses-paid dig to do just that, Corey is sure it's too good to be true, and she's right. As the world-renowned expert, Carrie should, by rights, be leading this quest, not sharing the glory with her disgustingly handsome nemesis. But Dr. Matthews has been finding new ways to best her since they were in grad school. He certainly isn't thrilled either with his life in shambles, and the last thing he needs is a reminder of their rocky past. But as the dig begins, it becomes clear they'll need to work together. A thief is lurking around their campsite, forcing the pair to keep their discoveries and lingering attraction under wraps. With money-hungry artifact smugglers, the Mexican authorities, and the lies between them closing in, there's only one way it all ends. Explosively. This sounds like so much fun, and I have really been digging this whole, like artifact archaeology sort of excavation journey that I've been on the last couple of weeks. So on to Second Chance in Newport Stevens by TJ Alexander. I think this is the only book not by Penguin on this entire day, which again, so strange. But this is an romance, and I believe this is like a beachy holiday read. But again, I haven't actually read the synopsis. Eli hasn't been back to his suffocating hometown in Newport Stevens, Florida in ages. Post-transition and sober, he's a completely different person from the one who left years ago. But when a scandal threatens his career as a TV writer and comedian, he has no choice but to return home from the holidays. He can only hope he'll survive his boisterous, loving, but often misguided family and hide the fact that his dream of comedy success is becoming a nightmare. Just when he thinks this trip couldn't get any worse, he bumps into his high school ex, Nick, who's somehow hotter than ever. Divorced and in his 40s, Nick's world revolves around his father, his daughter, and his job. But even a busy life can't keep him from being intrigued by the reappearance of Eli. Against the backdrop of one weird Floridian Christmas, the two must decide whether to leave the past in the past or move on together. I have never read the synopsis for this, and I'm insanely excited. This sounds adorable. After that is The Ruined by Renee Ahdieh, which is the fourth and final book in the Beautiful Quartet. This is the final book in a historical fantasy romance quartet. This is YA, but I would say it's on the older end of YA. This reads far more new adult to me personally, but we're set in historical New Orleans, following a heroine who ends up coming here after she has to flee France, and she's here for a fresh start, and she ends up getting wrapped up into, is it Court of Lions? I think that's what it was called. And they are this collection of paranormal beings, and once she gets pulled in, a bunch of paranormal things that start to happen. I really enjoyed the series. However, I will say that the end of book 3 ties this series into a previous Renee Ahdieh series, and it still to this day bothers me because this was not in any way, up until that very, very last sentence, tied into any of her previous books. And I've never read any of her previous books, and the fact that I have committed so many books to this and then to have it tie in. If it ends up being important, I will riot. This Spells Love by Kate Robb is another like slightly fantastical contemporary, but I'm pretty sure that this one is a little bit more rom-com-esque. It says, when Gemma gets dumped by her long-term boyfriend, she reacts the way any reasonable 28-year-old would, by getting drunk with her sister, kooky aunt, and her best friend Dax. After one too many margaritas, they decide to perform a love-cleansing spell which promises to erase Gemma's ex from her memory. They follow all the instructions, including a platonic kiss from Dax, to seal the deal. When Gemma wakes up, she realizes that this silly spell has worked. Not only does it seem that she never dated her ex, but the rest of her life is completely unrecognizable. The worst part is, Dax has no idea who she is. To reverse the spell and get back to her old life, Gemma must convince her once best friend, now near stranger, to kiss her. But as she carries out her plan, she finds herself falling for him, hard. Soon, Gemma begins to wonder whether she even wants to go back to the way things once were. What if Dax was the one all along? Ugh, I love a good friends to lovers romance. I'm here for it. And then the last book on this day is actually a re-release, and that is Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese. This series is getting a re-release. It was picked up by Berkeley, and they're all coming out in pretty rapid succession. This is book 1 in the Bergman brothers. This is probably one of the best recovers that a trade publisher has done in the like recover situation that we've been in, where they've been accumulating all of our indie romances. This is probably the best one because these covers are actually good and not a bunch of random florals. If you have not read this, one, do it. It is absolutely amazing. But this is a college new adult romance. This series is following all of the Bergmans. I think there's 7 of them, if I'm remembering correctly. And the series takes place over a very long period of time. It's probably a little over a decade from this first book to book 7. And in this first one, we are following Ryder and Willa, who are in a college class together. Willa is a soccer player, and she needs help getting through this class because soccer takes up like a very large chunk of her time, and she's falling behind on this class. And the professor makes her ask Ryder for help, but she does not realize that Ryder is deaf, and so she immediately thinks that he is being rude, and they kind of get off on the wrong foot, and they end up having this opposites attract, enemies to lovers romance, all surrounding them needing to work together on this class project. And this is just one of those series that you read and you cannot help but fall in love with this family. On to December 8th, we have Unloved by Marley Valentine, which is the next book after Unlucky. It does not have a synopsis, but it do have tropes. So this is a friends to lovers romance. We are following a deaf main character with found family. It is also polyamorous. It's an MMM romance with addiction and hurt comfort. If I am remembering correctly from Unlucky, I think this is following the younger brother who is injured in the first book, and we kind of got a little peek at this MMM romance. It's been quite a while since I've read Unlucky, but I do really love Marley Valentine's romances. They are always freaking heartbreaking, so I'm excited to have one of her books for the end of the year. On to the 12th, we have Always Only You by Chloe Leese, which is the re-release of book 2. So this book is following another one of the brothers who is a hockey player, and he is having a workplace romance with the woman who, I can't remember what she does for the hockey team. She works for their hockey team, and she is grumpy, he is sunshine, and she does have a disability as well. She has chronic pain. She might have fibromyalgia, if I'm remembering correctly. The sunshine character in here is so adorably sunshiny, and I love the heroine in this book. She is sassy and feisty, and she's just fantastic. And I want to say book 3 comes out in January, and book 4 comes out in January. Like, I think they're coming out pretty quickly. And then the last 2 books that I have don't have covers, titles, synopses, tropes, nothing. The first one is supposedly we're getting another Holl Night book from Legico. I'm going to assume New Year's because she's already done a Christmas one. I don't know that for sure. Nothing has been announced for it. She just came out with her Thanksgiving one. So I have no idea what the plan for this is. I don't know if it's actually still going to come out, but tentatively it is supposed to come out sometime in December. And then the last one is Aveda Weiss teased us with a creepy Christmas novella. Again, there's no title or cover or synopsis or anything like that, but they did post some tropes over on their Instagram. It says Grumpy Scrooge meets festive sunshine, second chance romance, exes to lovers, snowed in on an abandoned Christmas tree farm. And does it count as a threesome if it includes the forest god who's possessing you? I'm here for it. Honestly, if Aveda Vice writes it, I'm gonna read it, and then you make it a creepy holiday Scrooge romance. As soon as it drops onto my Kindle, I will be reading it. So that's going to be it for December releases. I feel like I went pretty quickly through that, and I don't know if that's just because I've been doing so many like 20 book new releases, but this one felt like it went very quick. Let me know if any of these are on your radar for December. Let me know if there are any additional books coming out that you are really excited for this month. Odds are, since I am pre-filming this, that there are going to be ones that I missed. If that is the case, I might be popping in. Otherwise, they will be all down in the description box with links per usual. Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it this far, I will see you in my next video. Bye.